Good. All right. So good evening, BABJ. Thank you for hosting me this evening. My name is Melony Roy, and I am NABJ's Region 1 Director. I was appointed to the board in November of 2023. I also work at the Wall Street Journal, where I supervise. I'm a supervising producer of daily news podcasts, and I've spent the majority of my almost 20-year career in the audio and digital space. I've also served as a chapter president in Philadelphia before moving to New York. But I'm here tonight because there's so much more work to be done, and I want to continue representing the professional and student chapters of NABJ from Boston to Hampton Roads. Region 1 is the largest region and home to some of the most talented, driven, and passionate journalists and media professionals in the country. I'm sure I don't have to tell you all that. I am committed to not just leading, but building, connecting, and elevating. I didn't have a full term, but in my limited time, I've been able to reunite the region and take the time to really listen to what the chapters wanted and needed from NABJ leadership. I've helped the students of Penn State establish a chapter, and I'm working with two other student chapters as well. But I'm also running to expand on the success of the regional conference that took place in April at Howard University in DC. It was the first in-person conference since 2019. We had nearly 200 attendees and featured workshops and panels on AI, investigative reporting, fact-checking, and podcasting. We also raised about $25,000 in sponsorships. So here's my plan for the next 2 years. So it's stronger chapters, stronger regions, more regional conferences that deliver, and mentorship that moves us forward. So with stronger chapters, stronger region, I would create a regional collaboration hub with shared events, planning, and resources. Fundraising for the regional was very hard in this climate that we are living in. But if we work together, I think we can better serve all of the members of Region 1. So, for example, if your chapter was having an event and there was an option to make it virtual, why not open it up to everyone in Region 1 and maybe charge a small fee so that way it becomes a fundraiser for the chapter? More regional conferences that deliver, bringing value, visibility, and voices to every conference with job fairs, career building sessions, and networking with industry leaders. And lastly, student mentorships that move us forward. So the first student chapter I worked with to become a chapter was Penn State. And one of the reasons why they wanted to be a chapter is they felt lonely where they were and they wanted some community. So I did introduce them to the Philadelphia chapter, Michael Dees. So they got to connect that way, but I think we need to do a little bit more and formalize some sort of mentorship program between the local chapters and student chapters so that they can become more engaged overall. It'll also help with real world career guidance, leadership development, and stronger support pipelines. So this year is NABJ's 50th anniversary, and we are honoring the founders. But this election is important because it will shape the next 50 years of NABJ. It has been an honor to serve all of you and the members of Region 1. I know what it takes to get the job done because I've been doing it for the past year and a half. Um, Thank you for your time, and I hope to earn your vote.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melony. Thank you, Melony. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, this is Sharon. I have a question. Melody, well, first of all, thanks for your time. We really do appreciate these opportunities to hear from the candidates and get a better sense of what your platforms are. But I'm curious, in the short period of time that you've been in this role, what do you see as having been the biggest challenges, particularly when you talk about kind of galvanizing the various elements of Region 1? What has been, from your perspective, just the biggest challenge in it of just making us a little bit more whole?
I mean, I think the biggest challenge I would say, and this is kind of like an NABJ issue, is when I came into this position, it had been vacant for a while. There was no money. So meaning like I couldn't really travel to other chapters unless like I was paying for it. So it's a little bit harder to build relationships that way. Thankfully, like we're all acclimated with Zoom, and I was able to meet with each chapter president before I made any plans. Because that's the other thing. I was appointed. I was here in New York chilling when I got a phone call from Ken asking me to take this position. And I only did it because I believe in the mission of NABJ and I believe in the members. So that's one thing that I think NABJ could do better is with giving some sort of money to regions to help them out. The second thing I would say is engagement from our younger members. So I meet with the chapter presidents every other month. When I started out with the students, I wanted to do the same thing, but not many of them show up that often. So I changed it to a quarterly thing. I don't know. I talked to advisors about it too. Like, how do we get them more engaged? What does it take? Is it training? Is it networking? Is it connection? Like, what do we need to do to engage them more so that they become more active and that they can take these positions as like Region 1 director one day? Um, this election, I think, is different than the past elections. I've heard that turnout is low. A lot of these seats are uncontested. That's not the case this year. Um, but like the next pipeline of leaders, we need to make sure that there is a stronger pipeline coming because we're not always going to be around.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Melanie, that was fantastic.
I have a question. I have a question.
Okay.
Okay. Really, what can the regular it seems like there's a disconnect between like what can regular members do? There seems to be people don't know a lot of things. How the convention cities are chosen. Um, you know, the whole issue with inviting Trump and not inviting Kamala Harris. Like there seems to be a disconnect between what the board does and then what regular members, and then we find out about it, then everybody gets upset too late because we're not in. Like, is it, do we need to attend like some of these meetings at the convention that we just think is for other folks or for like, how do the regular rank and file members who love the organization, been organization members for years, try to contribute to like make suggestions of, let's say, like of cities. People are not, some people are blah about Cleveland. Okay, why was Cleveland chosen? We don't like that doesn't get explained to the rank and file of like why Cleveland, why not? People are, well, let's go to Charlotte. I'm from Los Angeles. It hasn't been in Los Angeles since 1990. Like, why not California? Like people are just wondering, and I guess people kind of become disenchanted because they don't have any idea how these decisions are made. What can we do as rank and file members to just kind of mend the gap in
Yeah.
terms of like knowledge and what goes on what the decisions that the board makes?
So we'll try to take this in parts. So one thing is quarterly, the board meets and it is live streamed, and twice a year it is in a place. So people can come to it, people can always log on to it. That's where a lot of information is disseminated. When I'm bugging you for that quarterly report, it's because I have to present it at that meeting. Everything is put into like a digital doc so everyone can review it. And the minutes should be on the website of what took place at that meeting. So that's one thing everybody can do. The second thing was specifically with Trump. I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. I found out that Trump was coming to Chicago. I got to Chicago on Monday. That's when the board arrived. I found out after the student projects reception, Ken told us. And by the time I got back to the room, the whole world knew. So I didn't know he was coming either. Um, I I don't know what can be done about that. I do think it should have been a larger discussion with people on the board at least. I'm not sure why it wasn't. We had a lot of conversation around it. I think it should have been handled differently.
Mhm.
And I have expressed that to Ken and Drew and the board.
Mhm.
And I've heard a lot. I got a lot of feedback from people in Region 1, and I also gave that to them as well. The other thing about site selection, um, I'm too wondering why we were in Cleveland. I've learned a lot in my time on the board. It's very interesting. The one thing NABJ does not do well, and I can speak from experience, is create written documents that are passed down
Mhm.
from position to position. So when I took this role, all I knew was like the brief description of what a regional director should do. But the day-to-day operations of it, no clue. Had to ask several people. So when I do leave this position, my goal is to write some things down and pass it to the next person.
Mhm.
The strategic planning committee, I would suggest anyone who wants to be involved in these bigger things join that. Dr. Sheila Brooks is one of the heads of that committee. They are formalizing like procedures for how things like site selection is done. Drew is retiring in October. He has a lot of historical knowledge. Um, but again, is it written down anywhere? And that's the problem. Like a lot of things aren't. So we are going by word of mouth from people who used to be in these positions.
Oh.
So that's the honest answer. I know it's not a great answer.
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate that.
I
Yeah.
I have a question, Melanie. NABJ is celebrating its 50th anniversary, and I'm curious, what do you see or what do you envision for the future NABJ, and how do you think your leadership can contribute to it?
So I think journalism is under attack. So I think all of us have to beef up our advocacy skills and decide how we are going to answer that call. And we also need to be in conversation with our members about what they're seeing on the ground in different areas, because I know it's different from the north, from the south, as to what's going on. The other thing is AI. At our regional conference, we had an AI panel. If there were 200 people at the conference, 150 people were in that one session alone. So I think more training on how to use AI ethics, what its threat is to journalism, I think we still don't know. At my job, we are encouraged to play with it, but we also have to let them know how we're using it. And there should be some sort of industry-wide standards. And hopefully NABJ can be a part of setting those standards of how it's used and when it's used. And probably the third thing I would say is like, again, fundraising is really hard. And I know NABJ has some money in the bank, and the convention is the biggest fundraiser, but it can't be our only fundraiser. I found out like 2 days ago that we raised $20,000 from our regional conference, and that was a big deal. I don't have the historical knowledge to know how much previous conferences made, but typically it's not a lot of money. It kind of just covers the event. That is my cell phone number and my email address. Please reach out if you have any questions. Um, Always available to talk more. It was wonderful to see you all. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Melanie.